Positive electricity is preponderantly electric. Positive charge attracts positive charge. Negative electricity is dominantly magnetic. Negative discharge repels both negative and positive charge, for both are electric, and magnetism repels electricity. Again must it be written down that electricity and magnetism are not opposites, nor are they two forces. There are no opposites of anything in this universe of the one thing. Mind is the one substance. Thinking mind is the one force. If mind were not a thinking substance, the universe would be without force. It would be without life. It would indeed be a dead universe. Thinking is a positive action. To every action there is an equal reaction, which is the opposite or negative matrix of that action. The minus charge of the reactive negative matrix is equal to the plus charge of the active positive form of ideal. The positive form of an ideal is stored in inertia as a negative matrix of that form. There is but one active force of thinking mind, and that is the Father force. Man calls it electricity. Electricity appears as the first action of the process of thinking, and disappears like temperature in motion in inertia. Electricity therefore has no existence. It belongs to motion and not to substance. It is desire which causes the one substance to appear to change in state as it performs its function of recording form of ideal. Opposites are born of attempted division of unity or oneness. The very first action which attempts division of unity develops the reactionary apparent opposite reaction which opposes that attempted division. The Father force, acting upon the desire of mind to create, finds that as mind is the only substance, ideal and its form must be developed out of that one substance of mind. The Father force, which is the image-making faculty of mind, proceeds to create ideal, and then to fashion the form of that ideal out of the one substance. The opposing magnetic force is then born to prevent the fashioning of the substance of mind into form. For a time it vainly opposes such formation, but eventually it succeeds. Electricity and magnetism are the two major dimensions of the universal constant of mind. Therefore, the beginning of creation is the beginning of an attempted separation of the one substance by the one force of the substance. The very attempt to divide the one substance gives the appearance of, but does not make, two substances. It only develops two equal and opposing states of motion, which man calls forces. It but creates two illusions. Part of the energy used in the attempted division into two is given to each, and the sum total of this energy is the exact amount of the energy of the one. Electricity and magnetism are attributes of motion only, and as separate entities they are but illusions of the substance of matter. Form, or solidity of matter, is an electromagnetic record of states of motion. Therefore, solidity of matter is but an illusion which is measurable by electromagnetic dimensions, which in themselves are but illusions. Out of the Father force, then, is born the Mother force, which man calls magnetism. The symbolism of the creation of Eve out of Adam is basically sound. The Father force creates all ideal and gives it the appearance of form, but that ideal cannot be perpetually held as ideal in the appearance of form, nor can it be reproduced without the union of the Father with the Mother force, from which the Father force has parted, and with which it makes an equilibrium of unity. Both ideal and the form of ideal return to motion in inertia as memory, and remain there for a time as formless ideal. A union of the Father force with the Mother force brings it back again into the form of ideal, for the united energies of these apparent opposites make the total required by the one. Just so with positive electricity and negative electricity. They are not two forces. They are but two aspects of one force, attempting to separate each by its own opposite method, thus becoming two forces. They never succeed in so doing. Each is charged with the other, pre-meted, more or less, in accord with its periodicity. Next chapter, positive and negative electricity. Again, it must be repeated that in this universe of motion in equilibrium, all energy equalizes itself in two equal and opposite swings of the cosmic pendulum, no matter where in the cycle those opposites of motion appear. The cosmic pendulum swings forever between positive and negative electricity, eternally transferring its constant of energy from one dimension to another, but never changing that constant. The opposing energies of the two swings added together make one equalized unit of the universal reproductive constant. More than this, these opposing swings are simultaneously equalized at corresponding points in each of the 10 octaves. Electric action and its magnetic resisting reactive flow are simultaneous and in equilibrium at all times. Positive electricity is an endothermic contractive force which is actively absorbing a comparatively large quantity of generative light units of heat, which raises its potential, and is expelling a smaller number of them, devitalized, into magnetic radioactive emanations, thus slightly lowering its potential. Negative electricity is an exothermal, expansive force, which is reactively absorbing a small quantity of generative light units of heat, which slightly raises its potential, and is expelling a greater number of them, devitalized into magnetic radioactive emanations, thus lowering its potential. In the term negative electricity, the word electricity is used in the generic sense, as the inclusive word man is used to represent both sexes. Electropositive systems are preponderantly charging systems, while electronegative systems are preponderantly discharging systems. Charging systems are in the opposite half of the octave, the tones of which are generatively dominant. These systems are forcing magnetism out, and because of this they grow more compact. They therefore grow smaller, tone by tone, to the fourth tone of the octave. Their atomic volume lessens and their density increases as magnetism is squeezed out, just as a sponge lessens in volume and increases in density as water is squeezed out. Now must it be clearly understood that magnetism, expelled by electricity from within a charging system, did not enter that system as magnetism or as negative electricity. It entered as positive electricity and became devitalized into negative electricity by nuclear absorption of its positive charge. It was then expelled from the higher inner pressure to the lower outer pressure of the system. Discharging systems are in the negative half of the octave, the generative tones of which are weakened. Weakening genero-activity results in weakening radioactivity, which causes the systems to grow less compact. They therefore grow larger tone by tone from the fourth to the master tone. Their volume increases and their density decreases as magnetism is allowed to return, just as a sponge increases in volume and decreases in density as water is allowed to return. By a study of the charts on page 17 and 83, it will be seen that when magnetism returns to negative systems, it does not return as negative electricity. And I'm going to stop here in this chapter, and the next chapter will have the chart that Russell is talking about here. And I will read what's under the chart first before I continue with this.